So hello Belén.
Hello.
I am Yumma Mudra, and now my team, they asked me if we could take the opportunity to have a little conversation with you for our little YouTube TV. As we're together, we have this lockful connection that we can be together here in Catalonia for 2 weeks. And I was thinking if I could choose what to talk about. There are so many things we could talk about. But now first maybe you could tell a little bit about you first. And then I wanted to make you a first question about the relationship between gypsy dance, the history of music and dance, and human emotions.
Okay, I'm Belen Maya. I've been a flamenco dancer for more than 30 years, teaching, choreographing and performing all over the world. And now I'm in a process of transforming this career, this dance career, into something more meaningful to me and more related to my spiritual life, or inner life, we would say. And also related to a different approach towards female performance or female dancing, or feminine, we would say, representation. How women are represented in flamenco and how that is somehow manipulated by the flamenco industry and the flamenco concept. So that's what I'm working on, and learning with you has been a huge change for me. It's meant a lot. So yes, it's a very big topic. Gypsy music and gypsy dancing and basically gypsy feeling of art is something that even now it's a conflictive topic in flamenco and in Spain, because what gypsy people have given to dance music is not really valued. But for me, there are a lot of cultural limitations in gypsy art, but the essence, the really root of gypsy art comes from an emotion, and it comes from a love of life, to enjoy life just as it is. Even if you have a lot or you have little, or today you're happy or you're sad, it doesn't matter. There's always a contact with the present and a contact of how life is, beyond what you want, beyond what you're experiencing, beyond your pain or beyond your happiness. It's much bigger than that. So it's bigger because it's related to life. It's a life force. That's why everybody that gets in touch with gypsy music, it doesn't have to be flamenco. Even Balkan,
Like celebration.
Yes, they get in touch with the celebration and the freedom. And that's a root. That's really the essence. And there's another part that when I talk to my students, flamenco students, I always tell them, okay, don't only attach to the emotion and the celebration of happiness and joy, because that's the essence. But there's another part that you must also at least understand and respect, which is the pain and the violence against gypsy people. Not really, like take it as if it is yours. You don't have to do that, but you have to respect it and know that it's been there. Like in history, that violence has been made towards gypsy people, and that's also why they made this kind of art. So it's a mix of joy and pain, and to really get into it, you must respect both and understand about both. And also, of course, it's very powerful, because it's very fire and earth and fire are very important. And I think we all need to get in touch with those elements, because that makes all your energy is there. It's very present and very physical.
Yes. Before I ask you about your project with the book,
Yes.
actually, as you said this, I'm interested because we are both gypsy rooted, and I always worked with the Gypsy Duende school, which I started as taking its ground from actually the transformation of pain, because it's very close to what you said. I really think people that get into gypsy art and music, instead of trying to look like gypsy, which is not going to work anyway, that maybe it's more interesting if they really find in their own suffering how there is a sense of survival. First, in the sense of I wanted to know if you agree or not. Not in only the sense of survival as we have to go through difficult things, but actually how much in a gypsy context, on one hand, the more we are good at music and dance, the more we are able to have respect and money, because we are respected for music and dance. We are respected for, we are paid for it because we are able to bring celebration. But also that inside of our daily life, the fact that we make music and we make dance gives us an alchemic relationship to nature.
Yes.
So you agree?
Completely.
Okay. Good.
Completely.
That's very nice. Very good.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you if you could tell us about your project, about the book. I know your book is not yet finished, but if you can talk a little bit about this project.
I do lectures in United States, well, everywhere really, but mostly in United States, about contemporary flamenco, because they are, in the United States, they are very still attached to Carmen Amaya and all the past, Antonio Gades, all these big companies, and they're not very close to modern flamenco. So I give these lectures in universities and I talk about modern flamenco and all the performers that are now, that have companies and have established a style of their own, like Rocío Molina, Israel Galván. And in my last lecture in Seattle, I show videos and I explain, and I was showing a video of Rocío, and suddenly it came to me like a flash, like, you have to write about this woman. It came like this. You have to write, because this woman is special. This is not like any performer, normal, yeah, very good.
Yes,
No. There's a level of
mystery.
Yes, to her work and to her persona, because she's breaking all the limits. She's a lesbian. She's not a gypsy. She's not the typical body type of the flamenco. She doesn't look like a flamenco dancer. She doesn't do the things that flamenco dancers do, mainly. And she has her own company. She's investing money. She's creating a whole big company and a whole big performative change in flamenco. Because, for example, she works in Paris, in Chaillot Theater, for example, and then she looks for a venue in the street or in a park or anywhere, and she improvises for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 12 hours. I mean, she can be there the whole day improvising. And this is so important for flamenco right now, to break all these limits. So I thought, okay, I have to write about her because she's the opener of doors for the rest of women that are coming.
And young.
In flamenco, yes. She's young and she's very brave. And she's my friend. I'm lucky that she's my friend. So I asked her and she said yes. And now she's going through a big change because she's pregnant. So everything will change. So I want to be witness of this change in her body, in the way she dances, and the way she thinks about performance. I think it's going to be very interesting. And I think women that dance flamenco in the whole world, they need models.
Yes.
Okay.
It's funny you said that, because I was talking about this like 1 hour ago with Tiffany, a friend of ours. Yes, exactly that. We need models.
Yes. We need women.
All of us. We need models.
Yes. And for a foreigner, for a foreign woman that is not Spanish and that wants to do flamenco, she must know that there are all these traditional dancers, but there are other women in her, contemporary to her, right now, that are doing a new flamenco, so she can do it too. For example, here, from
Yes.
Brazil, I don't know, all countries, they can know that there's a new flamenco that they can also learn and they can also perform.
Yes.
So it's like giving them permission to be free in
Yes.
flamenco. So they don't have to attach to tradition. I mean, they have to learn it, but not be a slave to tradition.
Yes, of
and I
course.
think that's important.
It is for much.
So
yes.
that's what I want to
And
write.
because
about
the
it.
image is so strong that it's
Yes.
difficult for young people to even understand how much it's becoming some kind of a, maybe they think they want to have a good image, maybe they think they need to be good looking or to be
Yes.
improving in the sense of being the best and we're interested in them and all these things, but actually they don't maybe acknowledge that they could be free.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, it's true,
Yes.
because they think being free is to be the best. It's not.
It's not.
Yes, good.
Completely.
I would like to ask you about something more, maybe more personal, before we get to this very last question. That is the question Aurélie asked me about what do you think of art in general. But before that, I would like to ask to you, because I told you this, I saw you in a movie a long time ago, and I didn't know I would meet you someday, and I really was very how you say, impressed by your dance, because actually you were my favorite. And so it was like, for many years I used to look at that movie, only your part dancing. It's the movie Carlos Saura named Flamenco. And now I meet you years after later, and I wanted to know about you as a dancer, because we're talking about flamenco, about gypsies, about lots of things, but I wanted to know about how do you feel about being a woman, being a dancer, and being from the flamenco and gypsy rooted into opening your world in the spiritual sense of using dance as a path. I know it's another huge question, but I think it's interesting that people can have a nice question that they can focus themselves on how they want to handle the question.
I started dancing because I had the need to dance. It was a need. It was not a fantasy. It was not a ambition. It was not a work, really, because I didn't know if I could work on it or get money. It was just a need to move, a need to express. I was really shy. I didn't talk much. I was always alone and isolated. And dance for me was a way to express my world, my inner world, get it out and express it. So that's why from the beginning I wasn't traditional. I didn't do very traditional flamenco from the very beginning. I went out of the path because what I wanted to express was different, was very different. So it was not easy, but it was what I wanted to do, and it always made me happy. I always say that if art doesn't, or your dancing doesn't make you happy, I mean, not all the time, but essentially happy, you have to stop, because it's not to suffer. It shouldn't be suffering.
You mean by happy, it's not the
joy?
Yeah, like something blissful about what your life is about.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. So the path I've walked all my life has been related to my inner world, and that inner world from the beginning was very spiritual. And in flamenco they tell me I'm a mystic. You're a mystic. No, you're not. You're not good because you're a mystic. Like Santa Teresa, they always tell you're like a saint. They always tell me this.
But you do have Lole. She's very mystical.
Oh yes, she is. But they think she's crazy.
Oh, whoa! But she's one of the greatest singers.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I know. So this thing of being crazy, a little crazy.
Okay.
It's always been part of my career, and it's okay. I don't really care about that. But with time, it has taken a much more important place in the way I dance, because with time, all these guys, all these disfraces,
mask,
all these masks of how you should look, how you should act, who you should get along with, you know, your friendships, and how you should move. All this, little by little, didn't make sense. Didn't make sense because I started dancing and my body felt wrong, and what came out of me felt wrong. Everything felt wrong. So I stopped doing traditional flamenco and I started doing something that I don't really know how to call or name. It doesn't have a name.
The Belen flamenco.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
Weird. It's weird. It's a mix of contemporary flamenco and traditional, and I improvise a lot, and I don't use traditional costumes anymore. I think it's related, for me right now, it's related with the way I look also, because like with Rocío Molina, there's this limit that we are breaking about the way a flamenco woman should look, and we're just like destroying it. So for me it's really important not to complacer, how do you say complacer? Please.
Yes, I understand. Yes,
not please anybody, not be with the label of perfect, beautiful flamenco dancer, but just the way I want to look and the way I want to move. So it's also related to freedom. I think that's why I'm so in touch with Rocío, because we're both owning our own freedom as dancers, as flamenco dancers.
Because maybe at some point we lost also, I think it happens a lot to us, it's that at one point when gypsies were forced to stay in Spain and they were forced to be somehow not traveling anymore, not that much in tune with their own tradition as they used to be, they became Spanish, no? And as they become Spanish, they still are gypsies anyway, so they had to get into something that they could live in Spain. This is my way of trying to understand, because when you look at the gypsy art in Europe and in most of the world, in Spain is very specific.
Yep.
Because Spain is a place where gypsies were forced to stay and to become like rooted. And so it's the only country you find gypsies on TV, So maybe at one point it makes sense that women had to be more beautiful and more convincing and more, because even now you said gypsies are not recognized as being part of flamenco, which is incredible, because I want to take this opportunity to say to our cameras that when I lived in Andalusia, if I dance nice, Spanish people say, "Hola, gitana!" But gitana means gypsy, so why would they call me gypsy if gypsy has nothing to do with the flamenco? No, they call me gitana because they think I dance well, so it means that for them gypsies are part of flamenco, even if they don't like somehow. It's a very strange thing. I always thought it was so strange that these people I was meeting in the villages, they didn't like so much gypsies, but they call you gypsy to say a nice thing when you dance. You know? So maybe also now is different, because now the topic is not anymore about that. The topic is about how the whole world is becoming a place where things are needed to change. It's not just about Spain or about women or about flamenco or about gypsies.
Of course not. No. It's a whole, but see, like art is the reflection of life, and when you do art or when you think you're an artist, you are all the time, you are conflicted with how life is outside. And in my opinion, you cannot do art that is disconnected to the reality. Like you try to create beauty, but outside of you, it's ugly. So there's a mirror, there has to be a connection. And if there's a change in the world and you want the world to change, you have to change the world with your art. You cannot be like in a cloud and this is not my problem. No, it is your problem. And art, and connecting to the question about art, I think art is a tool for change. And artists are revolutionaries. We make revolution, we make change. And not maybe with words, but with our actions.
Energy.
Yes. So what you do changes. I've done Romnia, this show about gypsy women, for 2 years. And I've done it in the United States and in France, but mainly in Spain. I've toured Spain. And women came after the show because I do like a little talk after the show to explain about gypsies, about this sterilization that a lot of countries have made on gypsy women, even now. And many people don't know about that. So women come to me after the show crying, and they tell me, you know, I don't know what happened, but I was crying the whole show, from the beginning to the end. And I could hear her because generally I do it in small venues. So the audience is really close to me. I could hear her crying all the time. And she came, and I, you know, like, okay, concentrate, because, you know, that gets you out of what you're doing. But she was there crying, so it was real too. I couldn't be completely detached.
Yeah, it's part of the energy you're dancing with.
It was part of the...
You're breathing that. Yes, yes.
So she came, and I asked her, what happened to you? I could hear you all the time. And she told me, no, because when you started, all the women were me. Every woman, every gypsy, and I'm not gypsy, but I could feel everything that you were doing, and I could find it in my life. And I think that's art. That's what art does. Not because of me, not because I am good or bad or whatever. It doesn't have to do with me. It has to do with something.
Creating a relationship between each one of us, and something that makes us connected but is mysterious, something like that.
Yeah. I don't know how to call it. You know better how to call it. I don't know how to call it, but I know that it exists because it happens. It happens. So about art, that's the only thing I can say. Like, you have to be willing to change your life and be willing to take the responsibility of changing the life of others, but not because it will give you money, or it will give you fame, or the costumes are pretty, or people are going to love you, or nothing. I mean, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Maybe it works for a small time, but not. It doesn't really work. It's like a trap.
Yes.
So really, really, the deep essence of being an artist is to change the world and change your life. And it's fun because you think you have changed it once, but then it doesn't, it's not once. You have to keep on.
Never stops.
Never stops.
Like life, yeah.
Changing. And because if you're not in change in your life, it doesn't work on stage. You get stuck.
Yes. And you can also feel maybe that you're starting to reproduce something because you got a little bit out of braveness, no?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So for me, that's what I do.
Okay. Thank you, Belen.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aurélie. Thank you, Noémie. Thank you, Anna Maria.